Hello, this is week 6 of the 13-week fiscal program for American descendants of slavery. You have myself, Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Quietwater, as well as Chief Alligator. And for this week, we're pretty much just going to do a brief summary, pretty much displaying how we are prisoners of war and underneath military occupation. I know prior we've been discussing a lot of the treaties that we've gone over thus far, the last one being the Treaty of Fort Gibson. And that treaty itself was pretty much has something distinct to itself that the other treaties, as far as the Treaty of Moultrie Creek and Treaty of Payne's Landing, did not have. And that was pretty much a signature stating that the treaty was done between the government and the Americans. This is something that was not displayed in the first two treaties that we read. So that in itself kind of had proven that we are underneath military occupation, but just to kind of go over it and break it down from where it started, that's what we'll be doing for this week. So for this brief timeline of pretty much showing how we are prisoners of war currently, we're going to start off by showing a map, first and foremost, of where Europe is. Because we first have to make sure that we establish who the European is and who the actual American is, because that, as we've seen throughout all these treaties, that seems to get muddied and also misconstrued. So they try to change up who the actual American is by naming the American Indian and other names such as Negro, Black, so forth and so on, through reclassification. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure we bring up a map of what Europe is and who the Europeans are. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Y'all let me know once y'all able to see it.
Yep.
Good. Okay, perfect. So as we can see here, this is Europe. We see that the main players who were later classified themselves as Americans would be England, France, and we also have Spain. So from this map, as we can tell, just through, our indoctrination of this current system that we call school, we know this is in America. Yet these people who have traveled over here, and we know who have traveled over to this landmass, claim to be Americans. And we know that that is not to be true. So I just want to make sure that this picture is established in the audience's head when these people are the ones who are claiming to be Americans. How can you be claiming to be American when you're fighting in pretty much occupying land underneath the French flag, the English flag, as well as the Spanish flag? Two things cannot be true in that aspect. Also, another point I want to point out is that when it comes to the Atlantic slave trade, we always hear about, them stopping off in Africa, picking up slaves and bringing them on to, what we know is Gullah Island and the Carolinas and pretty much that southeast region of the United States. What I'm getting ready to show you here is that was not the case. We're going to be able to see the exact routes that were taken by these Europeans who later called themselves Americans, and also show how these trade routes are something that we had already established, we being the Americans, we being the natives, the Seminole, the Creek Confederacy, as well as other indigenous nations had already established these certain trade routes. Are you all still able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, can you make it bigger just in case people?
Definitely.
See if you can zoom in. Yeah.
So I want to focus on this one for right now, because this pretty much is what we're getting at. We just saw the map of Europe, which would be this area here, north of Africa. So as we zoom in, we see this map, and we see what is present day United States of America, and we see these different names: New York, Wilmington, Mobile, and all of these different pretty much trade routes, these markets, these ports in which they would later occupy and later pretty much go to. As you see here, nothing really here in Africa. These are just pretty much islands and isles on the coast of Africa, but nothing stating any routes. You don't see any documents showing this here over on this landmass. And to bring the point home even further, as we go and zoom in and take a little deeper look into it, you can see here exactly the route in which the European was taken. We know they landed here in Massachusetts and worked their way down into the southeast region of America, worked their way around the coast of Florida into the Gulf Coast. So in none of these depictions do you see any routes coming from this area, which would be Africa. So when they're continuously painting this narrative of, the transatlantic slave trade, that's not true. If anybody was the slave, it was the European peasants, point blank. I know we've established that earlier within these 13 weeks. But just to reiterate that, there's no trade routes, there's no routes that you see coming from this area in which Africa would be to the Americas. So why do we continue to have that narrative spewed upon us? It's only to keep us off the main topic. This is our land, and that in itself makes it something worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts on that before we go to the next slide or next step in the timeline?
You definitely made it clear there were no routes coming from that portion of the Atlantic Ocean that they have pretty much made up through pictures and things like that, which is supposed to depict what the Atlantic slave trade was. So that's a really, really good map. I've never seen that map before.
Yeah, this is definitely a newer map that was brought to our attention today here. And just to reemphasize the point, this is in this government's library.
So it's an official document.
Official document, Library of Congress. We're not making this stuff up, we're coming with actual facts. War at Sea 1863.
Wow.
So as you can see, this is what they were doing. It was taking up our trading routes, as we was trading with Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic. We were trading with them, and they pretty much took our trade routes and set up shop.
Yeah, you killed that. That was the only thing I bring up was this is coming out the Library of Congress, and you cited to that. So yeah, we're in the library, and yeah, good bill. I would just emphasize when you said the trade routes. One of the problems that we have as Negroes or Blacks, we have to understand that we were running things on this land. And when they put us in that slave category, then we just automatically assume we wasn't running anything. If we weren't running anything, then how did we invent all these industries? We're giving you inventors every week. So we how that slave narrative just automatically makes you think you don't know how to do business.
Correct.
I would just end on that. Great build on that, Chief Beacon.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's absolutely correct, though. That's absolutely correct, though. And what we'll see as we continue to move forward within the timeline is that they know we were not only doing business, but we meant business as well in regards to protecting this land, which is something, again, we have to get back to protecting our land and owning pretty much taking our land back. So the next thing I want to move forward to would be that 1755 Militia Act. We know that Militia Act pretty much was established because the Europeans were afraid of the Americans attacking them. Why were they attacking them? Because this wasn't their land. If this was their land, then we would probably trade with them, or if they came as a non-threatening act, then I'm sure we would have been able to do business with them. But as we see progress through history, they weren't trying to do business or good business with us, so you gotta go. And that's the mindset we had back then. And that 1755 Militia Act is so important because it made it to where the peasants could defend themselves. Again, they had to go back to this landmass to ask for permission. If you're from America, why do you have to go back to England to ask for permission to protect yourself if you're American?
Right.
There's certain things we have to, start to ask ourselves, okay, if they are claiming to be the Americans, because they like to say the Indians were attacking them. The Indians? I thought they was in America. You just came from America. How are they Indians? So who are you?
Right.
They don't like to mention who they are. This is who they are. Right from this island. Right from this place here, this peninsula. So it's another thing we have to make sure that we're grasping. So they needed to arm themselves to protect themselves from the Americans. And this arming of themselves is what would later become pretty much the Second Amendment. But prior to that, we know that their Constitution was established in 1776. So with that Constitution, we know the we the people. And we always ask, who are these we the people? We the people, who is we the people that they're talking about? The we the people will be the framers of the Constitution. And let it be known that it's not all of the framers, because it has to be the ones that actually signed off and ratified the Constitution. So as we can see here, in all, 55 delegates attended the Constitutional Convention sessions, but only 39 actually signed the Constitution. The delegates ranged in age from Jonathan Dayton, 26, to Ben Frank, 81. So it's plain here, again, another government website, National Archives. This isn't Wikipedia or any of your .com spewing what some would call fake news. This is actually from, sanctioned documents within this government. And they're stating here, 55 delegates attended, 39 actually signed the Constitution. So again, the preamble was pretty much describes the we the people as those who ordain and establish the Constitution, or those who voted to ratify it. So again, if we go back here, the 39 were the only ones that voted to ratify it. So that 39 would be the we the people. And as we move forward into the Civil War, you'll start to see that we the people term pop up a lot, especially in regards to certain states seceding from the United States. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight there. Anybody want to build on that?
Can you click on that image in the right up under the assembly room image?
Right here?
Yeah, just click on that just so the world can see.
See if I could zoom in a little bit.
You may have to click on that image one more time to make it big.
Let me see if I could. I don't know if it'll let me do that. No, I didn't let me click on it. Let me try to see if I could zoom in here.
Okay.
I said, look. Okay.
Yeah. Can you make it a little bit bigger? We can see it, but we just want to make sure if people watching the video can see it.
Gotcha. Oh, let's see. Might have made it too big. I think that's about as.
Okay. So we just want to leave that image there for a second and just let people wrap their minds around. These are the founders of the United States of America. The United States.
These are the we the people.
It's a corporation. It's not the land.
Mm-hmm.
And
great point.
I think that's the biggest problem that we have. People intertwine the United States government as the land. It's not the United States government. It's these 39 people. Their bloodlines. So when people talk about, oh, it's 30 bloodlines, no, it's 39 people that signed it.
Exactly.
So you follow the bloodlines of them 39 people, and you probably have every president. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
Really
and then the fact that this is because I'm just learning this. So, again, if we just go back to being able to have this knowledge from a very, very young age, everything else after that becomes more clear. You have a true understanding of really what took place prior to now, and this right here is, like you said, only 39 people signed it and ratified it. So I just think that, again, it just goes back to the lack of knowledge. The real true American history was not taught to any of us.
Correct. And it won't be taught, and we see that now. They're trying to rewrite history, eliminate certain things from history. And just to kind of piggyback off of both of you all, you know, when it comes to this we the people, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the Constitution is a living and breathing document. Okay. The living and breathing document that doesn't even honor what is written within its Constitution. And as Chief Alligator stated, it's 39 bloodlines, and I'm pretty sure, I can say 95 to 99% sure that each one of the ones that signed it had a family member who would later become a president. Just going off, you know, you just call it the theory, but I'm pretty sure their bloodline can be traced in each one of those presidents as far as the people that signed the document and ratified the Constitution. But again, those would be the people, 39 that actually signed and ratified the Constitution, making the current U.S. government.
One more thing on that before you click off that image. If we can just highlight to people that look like us. When they created this document saying that all people are to be created equal, they weren't talking about us. They were talking about peasants and slaves coming from Europe under this government that they created. You have to understand that they wrote this document for them under a monarchy, the way that their government was set up in Europe. If your parents were peasants, you were going to be a peasant your whole life. You couldn't change that status. When they created this government in North America, they gave the peasant from Europe an opportunity to live a new life. But this had nothing to do with copper-colored people until after the Civil War. I want to beat that home because it burns my skin every time I see somebody of our lineage talk about our Constitution. Historically, you're incorrect. It's not your Constitution. It's the European.
Correct. Exactly. Great point. Great point. We always hear the 3/5 of man. How you can, that's who they was classifying as us to be. So how can you say this is our Constitution? I just want to go here and just say who are because they're pretty much exactly what you just stated there. I'll just read off a little bit here. Further along, the preamble defines them as those who do ordain and establish the Constitution, meaning those who voted to ratify it. The purposes of the Constitution in 1787, people was defined as free white men, meaning no women or people of color were given a voice in forming the new government. And then again, as I stated, of course, they're going to say living and breathing document, because then after the Civil War, that's when we became classified as citizens. But as you can say, when it was established, we the people, again, were those who ordained and established the Constitution. So those who voted to ratify it, those 39.
That's it.
And who was it built for? Free white men, not women and not people of color. But just to emphasize that point, this is who was made for. The we the people was those 39, and it was for the white men, the white peasant coming over from, again, where? Europe.
Right.
So definitely wanted to just go ahead and make sure we mention that there. And also that kind of correlates to or brings us to our next topic within the timeline, which was that Second Amendment. We know the Militia Act was established in 1755, but we can also see it was translated into the Constitution. It had to be put into the Constitution because they was like, man, these Americans fucking us up. If anything is going to be in here, yeah, we want the freedom of speech, all this shit. But that second one, we got to make sure we arm ourselves. And who is we? The militia. So as we go here to the Second Amendment, militia, let me pull up the actual Second Amendment. Give me one moment. Are you guys still able to see it? I'm not sure if it's showing my whole screen or if it's showing just the...
Yeah, if you can maximize your screen, is there a way you can maximize it? so you can, so the whole document can be shown. Boom, there you go.
Okay. I'm not sure if it'll let me zoom, but let me check. Okay.
Boom.
So as we got here, Amendment 2, we a well-regulated militia. Again, this is the Second Amendment. Before we get into any other bullshit, we got to make sure. Look, we'll talk about our freedom of speech, all that press, religion and shit. You know, the Protestants and all that shit coming over to this land. Yeah, we'll talk about them. But now, secondly, we got to make sure we can arm ourselves and fight back these Americans. They whooping our ass. So a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The right of the people, the militia. The militia are the people. They were brought over here as peasants, indentured servants, slaves, whatever they want to call, because they love, you know, reclassifying things. It was brought over here, you know, for their duty, and they also had to make sure that they was protecting this land that is under military occupation. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's talking about the militia, people. Not, again, when we go back to the Constitution, it wasn't written for us, not copper-colored people, not people, me and you. It was written for them. 30 to 39 people who ratified it, and who? White men. So this right to bear arms wasn't meant for us. When we go back to the Constitution, oh yeah, we got our Second Amendment rights. It wasn't for you, buddy. It ain't for us. It's for them to protect themselves against us. Anybody want to build on that?
I just want to say, man, I'm extremely proud to hear a young person like yourself have an overstanding comprehension of what's going on. It just got a smile on my face right now, because so many of our people need to have a clear understanding of what you have a grasp of. You pretty much, you killed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing else need to be said.
Can't get no clearer than that, y'all.
Right. I mean, it's in black and white. That's the thing.
In black and white.
It's in black and white.
Well, let me ask one question to both of y'all, Chief
Go
Beaver
ahead.
and Chief Firewater. So when you hear prisoners of war talking about we got the right to bear arms, what does that mean to you now when you understand who really has the right to bear arms?
Right. I mean, it's clear.
Yeah. For me, it brings it into an understanding of like, okay, who has the right? The militia. Why do they have the right to protect themselves against who? Us.
Right.
So
a well-regulated militia.
A well-regulated militia. So when we see these protesters, when we see ourselves out there protesting, and we see we're met with the militia, armed men, because it ain't even the police all the time, it be armed men.
Right.
And we're like, damn, why they only coming after us? Shit, the white people could go out and storm capitals, but they letting them in. Yeah, it's for them. So when we finally understand and understand that, we'll be like, okay, now we know who we playing with. Now we know who the enemy is. Now we can start setting up plans to protect ourselves. Because again, this isn't this right for the people to keep and bear arms. That's not for us. That's for them against us. It's written right here. I'm looking at their playbook, people.
I'm gonna throw one more thing in, because everything, the trend is your friend, right? So go back to last year, we look at Breonna Taylor, how they brought the military and the militia in before they told the people that there would be no murder trial for her death. We look at the George Floyd case this year. They brought the military in. Okay. Now you got the Ahmaud Arbery case going on. This is less than 30 days after the United States government, or let me be specific, this is less than 30 days after Congress threw the George Floyd Act in the trash can, which means prisoners of war have no protection from the police. Do not be surprised when they board up Brunswick, Georgia, prior to giving the verdict in Ahmaud Arbery's case, because they're showing you there's nothing you can do about us doing what we want to. In other words, it's almost comical when you listen to these Black scholars in media. You have been taught through school to memorize all the government procedures. You know their inner workings of how it's supposed to work. And then you play dumb or you play stupid when they just do what they want to do.
Right.
You haven't realized you're prisoners of war. Like, you keep trying to play by rules when there are no rules, because even when they're dead to the wrong, they just say fuck the rules. And so
make up something else.
Arbery case is another example. They got one prisoner of war on the jury and 11 Europeans. And they're basically saying, what you gonna do about it?
The judge admitted that it was a racial bias for the jury, and yet they're still going with it. So when that's how you understand that we are, and Chief Alligator put it perfectly, you're prisoners of war. It don't matter how you go about doing your procedures, following protocol. They tell you to vote this senator in, vote this congressman in, vote this president. It don't matter who the fuck you vote in. You're not getting shit. Plain and simple. We just saw that with Biden wanting to give illegal immigrants, who just in the last term they was building walls for, $450,000 a person. They ain't vote for shit, did they? But
and to even consider that, they would even consider that, you know, to even have that as an option to even, it just don't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and that should be in itself a slap in the face telling you, y'all not shit, we don't care about you, you're prisoners of war. We give you these trinkets to appease you like a fucking baby. We're gonna give you a toy so you can play something. Don't ask for shit until we give you something. You go in this store like your mama used to tell you, don't grab nothing. Come here. I give you what I want to. I don't care how much you plead. You can be so eloquent with it as a child. You gonna get whatever the fuck I want to give you. And that's the same mindset they have towards our people. So when we say we gotta vote, we gotta do this, we don't have to do none of that shit but kick their asses out. Plain and simple. The same way they came over to the land, it's the same way we have to get it back. We're not gonna vote our way out of it or anything, and we continue to try to play this game. Oh, what about ours? What about ours? No, it's not coming. It hasn't come, so stop worrying about that. Let's build on something that we can actually do. So
let me drop one thing.
Go ahead.
Just right there on that Ahmaud Arbery case. Let's not forget, these were not government employees. These were citizens. This was a retired sheriff and his son and his neighbor. They decided to go nigger hunting, point blank, period. But he is the reason why they're setting us up to walk by stacking the jury. The district attorney saw the video of the murder, and she said she doesn't see anything wrong with it. It wasn't the neighbor uploaded the video on social media. That's the only reason that there's even a case. So why am I saying that? They're not going to lock up the European woman who's the district attorney and a former sheriff and his son and the neighbor. They're getting ready to show you that you're under military occupation. If I'm wrong, I don't mind coming back on that week and saying I'm wrong. But based on the trend, you don't have a George Floyd Act, so you don't have any protection against the police. What's stopping them from boarding up that city, just like they did Kentucky for Breonna Taylor and Minnesota for George Floyd? What's stopping them from boarding up that town and letting them boys walk and just bring out the militia and the police and the National Guard and just say, what y'all prisoners of war gonna do about it?
And it's sad, but it's the truth. Look, we just read it. Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms. But what he's basically saying is that I have a right to protect my land. This nigga, this prisoner of war, this African American, whatever they want to reclassify us as, was not where he was supposed to be. I felt threatened. I felt under attack by the American. I need to arm myself. Let's get them, boys. That's this. You just read what that 1755 Militia Act was for. That's this.
Right, right.
And we're going to get emotional. We're going to get emotional and be like, oh, that's wrong. But you don't understand. It's not wrong. You just haven't woke up to the fact that when you're military occupied, here's the beauty of 2020. The dragon showed his teeth last year. And you can never forget what you saw. Remember, y'all, we're in a world pandemic and an economic crisis worldwide. And you're getting nothing from the government that you're supposed to be a citizen of. So all scholars out there, please, somebody make sense of how are you not getting something in this time in world history? This is the one time that everybody should get resources and protection. You're getting nothing.
Right. Right.
You're getting nothing.
Instead, we're getting pushed further down by all the made up classes.
Benign neglect.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Quiet water. Keep getting pushed down. They're going to continue that just to make sure we don't even have a chance. You're not going to get a chance.
Right.
What 6ix9ine say? I ain't gonna give you the chance. I ain't gonna give you the chance to even ask for nothing. I'll bring in some damn people that we was just trying to build the walls for before I give you niggas something.
Exactly.
So here we
that's
go.
What it is, man.
Just a quick history note. Remember, Georgia was the 13th colony, and it was a military buffer state.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason the estate of Georgia was created was for the Seminole Wars. It's a military buffer state. It was to cut off people from the Northeast running into the Southeast, which was the Creek Confederacy. If you don't believe us that it's a military buffer state, Chief Biko has the map pulled up right now. Every county, the ground floor in any county in the estate of Georgia is a militia district. That means that the citizens in those counties, at the call of the president, who's the only person that controls the militia, they will come out and they will rope you off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking at right here, General Militia District. And what I'm trying to do now is just to show what they're doing. We're pretty much going to act as fortune tellers right now for this Ahmaud Arbery case. As he stated, they're probably going to let them get off. We already see the writing on the wall, or the whiting on the wall, with the jury members being all of them, damn it, white, European. Hell, even the one person they got of us may not even be of our side, because we know we have agents working against us as well. So let's just say majority of all of them are against us, a skewed jury. So what I want to see here is look up the county of which Brunswick is. It's in.
I think it's Glenn. I might be wrong.
It is. Yeah.
Glenn County.
It's Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it'll be this one right here.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So as we look into this, we can see pretty much the militia that they'll probably be calling out or calling upon to make sure, again, once they board up this area, hey, we're gonna need y'all to protect our businesses, our trade, our trade routes. Again, this is on the coast of Georgia. Georgia, again, was built as a buffer state for our people. We know we was trying to really escape south into Florida. That's what the Seminoles come from, to, regain our relatives that were locked up as prisoners of war coming from South Carolina, that South Carolina area. Because again, these weren't all, sectioned off areas as they are now. So Georgia was a lot more than what it is today. It's pretty much going into some of South Carolina, some of Florida, and even Alabama. But just to get
let me
back
throw
to
one
the point,
in real quick, if you don't mind. If you can back out one, go back to the main map. Mm-hmm. Click on Burke County. That's going to be right up under Richmond on that East Coast. Burke.
East Coast.
Yeah.
You said it right. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Now, my bloodline goes back to this county on my mom's side. Mm-hmm. And what made me realize that we were under military occupation, and I'm just giving this information to everybody who's of our lineage that's trying to track their family lineage. If you're on ancestry.com and you pull up the census record for your oldest family member, if your bloodline goes back to the estate of Georgia, look across the top of the census record. It's going to tell you the militia district on the census record. So my bloodline has militia district 62, which would be Waynesboro. That's what triggered in my mind, militia district. How's the militia district on the census record? Because you're under military occupation. So also on the census record, it'll tell you your family member's occupation. So if it says sharecropper on that record, your ancestor was not a slave. Your ancestor was actually on a military work camp in militia district 62. Y'all want to build on that? It's right.
Good information.
It's right there.
Right. That's good information.
Pull your family record, and if your family comes back to the estate of Georgia, look at the oldest census record for your family member. You're going to have the militia district across the top. Your family members were not slaves. They were on military work camps. Think about what they show us in movies. If you escape that military district 62, they always show rednecks with shotguns and bloodhounds. That was the militia.
Right.
That was the
militia. The one in charge to get
militia
you
was coming for your ass.
In that area.
Wow.
Pretty much.
I wanted to throw that in just so we can understand when we read these documents and start going back. We don't got to go back that far. Just go back 100 years. That'll put you in the early 1900s. You're not going to hide it. It's militia districts. I can't speak for Carolinas, but I know because Georgia specifically was a military buffer state. Everything is military records.
Wow.
Damn. Great point. Great point.
Interesting.
I don't think there's nothing much else to say on that one. if it's not clear now, people, that what we're saying is true, then I'm not sure what else needs to happen. I'm not sure what else we need to show you. We're showing you, legal
real history,
real history, governmental documents, stuff that you can find within, our government's Library of Congress, archives, different things. We're not making this up, people. We're just putting the puzzle together for you so you can see it clearer. As we move forward to the from the Second Amendment, showing again we the people, who they were, the Militia Act, and how that pretty much ties into the Second Amendment. I'm going to go ahead and jump into some of these treaties that we've been talking about today as well, and how they pretty much depict who we've been contracting with, point blank. So before we get into the American Removal Act, I know the first treaty that we were reading was the Treaty of Moultrie Creek. I'm gonna try to pull that up here. See if I can get this bigger. Is everybody able to see it?
Yep. Can you make it a little bigger just for people that are watching?
See, I think it should be good for them. So as we see here in these treaties, what you'll notice is that the wording at the end of these treaties, before they have some of our people sign it, as well as their lieutenants and whatever military force or whatever military rank was sign it, the wording was very different from that last treaty that we just read of the Treaty of Fort Gibson. We'll just start here. Pretty much the commissioners. So the commissioners accord in sentiment with the undersigned chiefs and warriors and recommend a compliance with their wishes to the President and Senate of the United States, but the disapproval on the part of said authorities, the Senate and the President of the United States, those are the authorities, of this article shall in no wise affect the other articles and stipulations concluded on this treaty. So regardless of if the authorities, being the Senate and President of the United States, basically the United States government, whether or not they pretty much sign off on this treaty is not going to affect what the hell we pretty much established between us being the military and you being the Americans. It's pretty much what that just summed up. In testimony whereof the commissioners William P. Duval, James Gadsden, and Bernard Segu, and the undersigned chiefs and warriors have hereunto subscribed their names and affixed their seals, done at the camp of Moultrie Creek in the territory, Florida, this 18th day of September, 1823, and of the independence of the United States, and of the independence of the United States.
Correct.
That in itself reads to me in the independence meaning outside, notwithstanding, because that's pretty much what it just said up here. Regardless, this is our area now. We've had a business contract established. So regardless of if our CEO or president of the company signs off on it, this is still a valid contract because we're, as two parties, are pretty much contracting here. Anybody want to build on that?
Yeah, if we can scroll down to the bottom and just look at the signatures real quick.
Definitely.
We can clearly see here that it's separate and apart from the United States because secondary to the commission, you got Indian interpreter, and then the rest is military.
Mm.
So no representative from the United States government signed.
Right.
Now, with that being said, that means that if the military, basically the military signed a fake treaty.
Mm-hmm.
So really everything that they quote unquote occupied militarily, that has to be given back because the military can't go in the treaty. It's not a government.
Correct. Correct.
You with me? So what they did was the United States government tried to come in, not to get ahead of ourselves, but after the Civil War, the United States government tried to come in and then go into treaty with all the areas that the military went into. No, go back to these treaties. The military was never supposed to go in the treaty. So all that land was stolen. Got to give it back.
Mm-hmm. Great point, Chief Alligator. Great point. And again, as he stated, nobody who signed these was of the United States government. We see Secretary of Commission, but again, we see here the commissioners accord in sentiment with the undersigned chiefs, the commissioners of the military, not the United States. So they had a secretary, the military. So I don't want anybody to get confused on that as well, saying, "Oh well, it's a secretary of commission. That must be like part of the government." No.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the secretary for the military.
They stole it.
Mm-hmm.
Stolen land. And that's just one of the treaties. This is what Treaty of Moultrie Creek. We know that's 1823. So as we get further towards the American Removal Act, which we'll show here, this is the American Removal Act. And the reason why we're showing this here is because you'll later see who will be moving into these territories, this area of land after they have removed the Americans, or some of the Americans will say, west of the Mississippi into this Indian territory here. So the Treaty of Moultrie Creek, we know that would have to do with, deal with the Seminoles. This is pretty much what was established illegally again. Mind you, illegally, because again, it wasn't a contract with the United States government. It was a contract with a military. And we're saying a military because it wasn't even a part of the government at this point. As you see here, you got Seminoles, Creek, Chickasaw, Choctaw, as well as Cherokee, all moving out of this southeast region in what is later known during the Civil War as the Confederacy. But prior to that, we already had our Confederacy. We had a Creek Confederacy. So not only did they steal the land, these motherfuckers stole the name too. Ain't nothing original about them. Be point blank. Ain't nothing original about these people, man. They not smart, they're not slick. So don't give them this power of feeling they're supreme with this white supremacy. Ain't no such thing.
Right. It does not exist.
It doesn't exist. They were crooks.
Mm-hmm.
And we also learned from reading the most recent treaty, Fort Gibson, that they also had to send our skilled people from the Creek into Oklahoma, or what they were calling Indian Territory. And that,
Oh yeah,
that Chief Biko showed about how they roped off the borders on the East Coast and in the Gulf. These were nations. So what we have to understand is when the Europeans start seceding from the United States and what we know as the Confederate States, those were our government buildings. We were taken over by their military. We have to understand we were running stuff.
They stormed our capital.
Right.
What happened on January 6th? They stormed our capital.
Yep.
Right.
Their Confederacy stormed our capitals and military occupied our capitals. You're absolutely, we have to get out of, we've provided too much information for people to still think we were just slaves. How can you create a slave?
Right, exactly. We had to teach them. They used us to teach them how to cultivate the land, work the land.
Correct.
And just going back to everything that we invented, everything that was being used was created by us. So, like you said, just listening, you know, if people are following, just getting a clear understanding, we're painting a picture of who we were and, you know, how we lost ourselves with the education and just the false narrative that we just blindly have followed along with is, hopefully this will open up people's eyes.
Definitely. And Chief Quiet Water stated, we built everything, and what happened was they removed us from it and kept all the spoils that we created. Why? To bring in their European peasants, their extended families into pretty much a turnkey home. We're talking about real estate. You don't even got to do no fixing up. It's right here. Everything good for you.
Exactly.
Who's the private homeowners? Don't worry about them. They ain't coming back.
And this is how you know we compromise. Just to piggyback on you, Chief Biko, this is how you know we're compromised. How can you bring up Tulsa, Oklahoma and not talk about the American Removal Act? Of course there would be a Tulsa, Oklahoma. You have 5 nations of people all in one area. So that lets you know that school has been weaponized, because you can't talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma and not talk about the Indian Removal Act.
Correct.
Right.
How did these people get here? Who were these people in Tulsa? Questions that you would think would be asked, and you know, but nah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So as we move forward, let me see, time check. We about probably do 3 minutes, and that should bring us up to the Civil War here. So just to jump straight into the Treaty of Payne's Landing, and pretty much the same thing that we just pretty much did with the Moultrie Creek, as we'll see again here, Secretary of Commissioner. And when we look at the wording,
last sentence.
Testimony, last sentence here.
Done at
Camp Payne's Landing on the Ocklawaha River in the territory of Florida on this 9th day of May, 1832, and of the independence of the United States. So again, and of the independence, so separate of the United States. Again, pretty much whatever we established as far as the articles, as far as the terms and conditions, regardless of if the United States even wants to sign off on it, this has been done. Again, illegally. And as you can see here, who do we have? Interpreter and agents. And then their Secretary of Commissioner, the Secretary for the military. That's it.
And notice on this one, the military presence that they had on the Treaty of Moultrie Creek. Notice they didn't have lieutenants and infantry at this particular one. That's a
correct. Let's see here. And just to bring us up to where we were last week, Treaty of Fort Gibson. Again, but this one, let it be clear, this one is different from the other ones. This one would be considered a legit treaty. And we see this here, Article 4, Article 9. This agreement shall be binding and obligatory upon the contracting parties as soon as the same shall be ratified and confirmed by the President and Senate of the United States, done in open council at Fort Gibson, this 14th day of February, 1833. So we could just tell off the bat, the whole wording is different.
Right.
Damn, it's legit. It's like going from a damn fake job, you hustling or some shit, and you like, damn, look, bro, just give me $5 off everything you make to like, oh shit, it's a whole contract. Hold on, let me see. Okay, now this is something different. It's pretty much night and day. It's pretty much night and day. So this one we could see we were actually dealing with the government, ratified and confirmed. We just saw who else ratified something. Those 39 we the people, but they ratified the Constitution, the government. So you see, something has to be ratified and confirmed in order for it to be legit established, and it has to be ratified and confirmed by the government.
You hit it right on the head. That's the difference in all three of these treaties. This was the first one that got ratified, meaning Congress approved it because Congress makes the law under their government, and then the president confirmed it. So yeah, this you don't see that language in any of the first two treaties. You hit the nail on the head.
Don't see that language at all. But you still one key common indicator, I guess you could say. They got their military though with them. They got they arms. So shit, if y'all want to pop off something, we gonna pop off something.
Right.
And as we can see here, that kind of just brings us up into what we'll be getting into next week, which would be the Civil War, probably talking about the seceding states. But just to kind of reiterate everything, that we the people are not you and me. That those 39 people who ratified it, that is the we the people. Whoever was in that room is the we the people. So those 55, they can be considered, but the people who ratified it, those are really the people. Those are really the people. When they say we the people, whoever's in that room to ratify this bill, this law, whatever, this act, whatever it was, those are the we the people. So when we see that next week, you'll be like, okay, so who is we the people? Who's shit? I'm not sure my great grandpappy signed off on going to this or anything like that. No, we the people who's ever was in that room. So when you see that, when they start to see, what was that?
Do you have that not last map, but do you have that map about the military districts?
Yes. Let me see, it should be this one. Yeah.
Let's let them see that if we can pull in real quick as we close it out.
Excuse me. New military map in the United States. And as you can see, the guy is sectioned off here. Try to get in as close. Let me try to. Military Department of the East.
Department
pretty
of
much the whole.
Yeah.
Everything east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Department of the West.
Yeah.
Texas, New Mexico. All again, military occupation.
Right.
And that's the point we wanted to drive home today.
So the sophisticated politics of the United States government is to get the people of the land that's always reclassified every generation, get them to think that they actually are participating in a government, when in reality, you're military occupied. You're looking at the map. This ain't rocket science, y'all.
Correct.
Got you roped off. No matter where your bloodline comes from on the land, America, on the ground floor, there's a military operation. So when the politics stop, if you Negroes want to act like you're really pissed off because you're not getting anything from the government in the middle of a pandemic and an economic worldwide reset, they just bring the tanks out.
Right.
You've seen it all the way back to the civil rights movement. How do you explain that? If you're a scholar of history, how do you explain that every time that this group of people tries to stand up in society, why is the military always called on you?
Not racism. Because it's racism.
Yeah, they don't call them on the Asians. They don't call them on the gays.
Right.
They don't call them on the illegals. They call them on you.
On you. And you can't say it's racism because, like you just pointed out, they don't call it on them.
Exactly.
They don't call it on them. So why do they call it on us? Because we are prisoners of war under military occupation. You ain't supposed to be outside the house protesting. The fuck are you doing? Get your ass back in the house. You're a prisoner of war. What you at our capital for? Get out of here.
And I'm gonna say that moving forward, we're not gonna see 2020 again because they're at a point now where they don't want to see any more peaceful protests. I'm gonna go on the record and say that. What's today's date? November what?
7th.
November 7th, 2021. As you continue to lose these murder trials that happened from last year, when y'all go out in the streets, I'm going on the record saying they're gonna start gunning you down. There is no more peaceful protests.
You know, I saw that law was passed or something like that where they can start pretty much doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
Running folks over damn near.
As a law.
Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Because, you know, they'll bring out the preacher and it almost got comical right when George Floyd, when Derek Chauvin got the guilty verdict the same day they killed somebody in South Carolina. And the people in South Carolina, they kept saying peaceful protests. And it was like, how do you put peaceful and protest together? It was like, we're going to let you march in a circle and scream no justice, no peace till 9 o'clock. Now get off the streets. And it's like, you know what? What y'all thoughts on that? I could just see them taking away protests altogether. Like, you know what? Yeah,
that's where it's headed. I mean, that's definitely where it's headed. Because who wants to be hit, legally ran over? Who wants to sign up for that?
And I just take it back to being like a parent and being treated as minors. Oh, you want to act out? I'm gonna take your extracurriculars away. You can't come out and you can't come out and march with your friend. You can't do that. No, you niggas got you on punishment. You acted out in front of company and now you're on punishment. You had the whole world looking at us like we was stupid, like we wasn't treating you right. So now we're gonna really treat you like shit. We're gonna beat your ass when you get back in that back room when the world's eye is no longer on us, because that's what happened. You had the whole world's attention. Oh, George Floyd, this. Oh shit, they looking at us like, damn, we ain't the land of the free. Let's show them how we are. Let's let these immigrants in. Okay, Iran having trouble, bring them over.
Exactly.
Oh, immigrants, bring them over. Haiti, y'all know, y'all niggas stay over there. Y'all
exactly.
We got in prison camps.
Under the guise of being under asylum, basically.
Correct. We gotta rebuild our brand. Because again, this is the company.
Right.
And the company is for what? Make money. So if your brand isn't right. We see that all the time. Companies, they said some Black lives don't matter. Oh shit, now we gotta do a whole PR case. This is what they're doing now. It's PR people. This is business. You gotta make it look like America is back to being what is a melting pot.
Right.
So let's do everything we can to put that good face on. I mean, if that shit don't click with y'all, I don't know what else will.
So here's a question as we get ready to close it out and do the readings. The question is, who's going to be a part of the 39 for our group? That's we're going back to that. Now that you realize you're prisoners of war, who's going to stand up? Because the only way out of this is to nationalize. You're going to have to denationalize as a United States citizen, and you're going to have to nationalize as the American. There's no way around it. There's no way. You've tried to be a citizen of this government since 1866 Civil Rights Act, which we're going to get into and we're going to read it. That was your Civil Rights Act there. There was no need for the 1964 Civil Rights Act. You already had one. So why do you keep, and I'm just saying this, and I'm a realist. You've been trying for 100 years to be a citizen of this government, and you get nothing. 150.
What benefit are you getting?
Yeah. How do you justify having sundown towns where if you get caught when the sundown, they kill you? How do you justify the police and the fire department sicking dogs and sicking water hoses on you? At some point, you got to deal with the harsh reality. It wasn't racism. You're military occupied. Just deal with the reality. You're military occupied. You got to do everything exactly right in order to get something. You got to have a house. You got to have seats in the Senate. You got to have a massive protest. I mean, everything got to be right for you to get one piece of legislation. But illegals,
that white man's approval.
Right.
Ain't got to do none of that. Gays ain't got to do none of that. Your black ass, you got to do everything.
Make you jump through some hoops.
Come on, you ain't got to go to school for this. This common sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
This common sense.
And to liken it to that, school shit. Them group of friends, they want you to be their friend. Well, shit, you ain't their friend.
Right.
Why we still trying to be their friend? Why we still trying to be a part of this system when they obviously are showing it ain't for us, this system? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be a real lonely ass individual to be wanting to be somebody who's gonna beat on you all the goddamn time. Like, damn, you need companionship, or you need to be a part of something that bad. We got you something. Come over here with this 39 that we gonna sign, because we're gonna show in the next week pretty much what they did as far as seceding these states. All it took was 39 people say, you know what, or a group of people, we're gonna set up our own nation. We no longer want to be a part of your government, your nation. That's how easy it was for them.
Exactly.
And put the cherry on top, Chief Biko. You taking all that ass whooping, prisoners of war, and there is no money. Let me say that again.
For nothing.
You're taking ass whoopings from a government that there is no money.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you even more crazy. You're taking punishment and you're not even getting paid anything.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to close it out with the readings?
Yeah, we can go ahead and close on that note. Shoot, let's do the readings. I'll go ahead and start. Let me start sharing my screen.
Let's see where
Read 12 steps here.
Pull this up.
All right, I'll start with the 12 steps. Step 1, learn about the state or states your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate? Step 3, what nation and Confederacy had jurisdiction over the area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations who attend what's your position on reparations. Step 5, they either support it or they do not. No support equals no money. However, if they support it, then immediately children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3 and field trips to ADOS landmarks in that city, county, and state. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. So people, we know Thanksgiving coming up. Fuck that turkey. Fuck them chitlins. That shit $50 a pound. Spend your $50 on something else. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small businesses that do not hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American Black businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10, the U.S. government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money in i.e. quantitative easing, and also burns it in i.e. quantitative tightening. The U.S. Dollar hasn't been backed by gold since the Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American descendants of slavery no longer have faith in the U.S. government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. That's what we'll be talking about majority of next week when we talk about the seceding states and how we can also do the same. Step 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about their history on this land. A, have them learn about an American inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. And D, they should know the nation of people prior to the European invasion, military and culturally. Step 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming to be America or claiming America, and attaches us to the history and laws of the U.S. government. Every estate American descendant of slavery live in shall have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, one fiscal quarter, will bring us together for our common cause. Next, we'll have Are you reading?
I can do the Inventor.
You're doing the Inventor, okay. So Chief Quiet Water will do the Inventor for us.
Okay, so this week I have Henry Brown. There was not a lot of information on him at all, but he basically invented the paper storage box. It was a type of compartmented storage box intended to keep sheets of carbon paper separate from the paper that you actually write on. The patent number is 352036. The patent date is 11/2/1886, and that is Henry Brown. It didn't say where he was born or when he was born or anything.
What percentage of income do we get from that invention that was given to the world?
0.
All right.
All right, and next we'll have Chief Alligator read off the Dr. Woodson quote.
Okay, I'll do the legal definitions, maroon points, and the Dr. Woodson quote. I'll start with these legal definitions. First definition, American, a native of America. Second definition, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Third legal definition, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Fourth legal definition, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Fifth legal definition, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Sixth legal definition, education, an enlightening experience. Tonight, I'm going to do the sixth Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote, who's the founder of Black History Month. And before I read this sixth quote, I just want you to think about Kamala Harris, all of these prisoner of war politicians that are put in front of our face on TV. Think about all of those different people who, these fake civil rights leaders, or these fake people who they call leaders on TV. Think about them, and I'm going to read this sixth quote from Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month. Quote 6, leadership is usually superimposed for the purpose of directing the course of the ostracized group along same lines. This was accomplished during the days of slavery by restricting the assembly of Negroes to certain times and places and compelling them to meet in the presence of a stipulated number of the wisest and discreetest men of the community. These supervisors of the conduct of Negroes would prevent them from learning the truth, which might make them unruly or ambitious to become free. They do it over and over and over again. Maroon historical points. Point 1, was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law? Point 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Point 3, Maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Point 4, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks and thick grass. Point 5, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. That's it.
Thank you, Chiefs. Thank you, Chiefs. That's a great, great quote.
Good summary.
This week, and it pretty much established everything. So that'll be it for this week, and next week we'll start with the Civil War.
All right. Y'all have a good week.
All right.